Hello.
Hello,
We are live now.
everyone.
Hello. Welcome to another Industry Live. And thank you, everyone, for stopping by and joining us here this afternoon. We're staying in our lane and sharing the knowledge of from our personal experiences as well as our guests' personal experiences today. I am ThatKimberly, and this is.
It's Deb. And
Hey,
welcome.
Deb. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I am doing good. Um,
All
who
right.
are we talking to today?
So today we're going to talk with Mihael Bowman with DepositCloud. We're going to have a nice chat about startups and multifamily. So it should be a good time. We welcome all questions.
Yes.
So bring it on. It will be a good little chat for us today.
Yes. He's got lots of knowledge in the startup world. He's been involved in several of them, and he came from the property management side into the supplier side in the startup world. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Very well rounded, our Michael is.
Yes, he's going to give some secrets, hopefully, to that world of startup, right?
Absolutely.
Again, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So wherever you're watching, please, if you have a question, like Deb said, we welcome them. If you know somebody who could use the knowledge, please share it, as well as they say, as the young kids say, smash that notification and that like bell. That's what they say on YouTube. Wherever you're watching or following, we'd love for you to be there next Tuesday. But most importantly, leave a question, or if you watch on the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from. So
yes. All right, let's jump in to Mihael Bowman. Let's bring him in and have him introduce himself. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate this. So do you want to give the crowd a little insight into who you are and what you do in multifamily?
Well, thank you. Glad to be here, and I would love to chat about all these cool topics. Didn't expect to be here in multifamily. It's 20 plus years now, and I can say that looking back, it was I fell into it on the operations side. So it was not an expected move. I didn't grow up in the industry.
I think that's very common for a lot of us.
Yes. So I'm with DepositCloud. We're a deposit platform, so we actually are a deposit management platform. Startups is an interesting topic. I don't think I ever expected to start a company when I was younger either. Learned a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but I really enjoyed being on the operations side. I got lured to the supplier side and realized that there was a lot less folks on the supplier side that actually had operations experience. So it put me in a unique position from a perspective aspect as well as an experience point. So excited to be here and talk about some of those experiences.
Awesome. Thank you. I also have worked with a few startups as well in my history. I've also 20 plus years in multifamily, started on the operations side, fell into it, and have not been and about 10 years in, moved to the supplier side. So my first, we'll both answer that. Well, this is probably for Michael. Michael, what year was your first startup?
Oh, year. Oh my goodness. I would say, so I was fortunate enough back in 2014, I think it was 2014, 2013. I got to start working with a really cool dude in our industry, Brian McGuire, company's Touchpoint 365. That Touchpoint does resident outreach for inbound, outbound communications for prospect management. It was unique. Brian was actually one of the guys, Lead Tracking Solutions, if you remember that name, was acquired by Yardi. So he was the brains and brawn behind that. Had an idea, and I was fortunate enough to get involved and be able to help build out that company and support it in some unique ways. So that was my first dive into a startup, and the experience and the pain of building something new.
Right. What would you say? What should a startup in multifamily expect? Someone fresh, new, coming into the industry. Like your top advice. Like what would you give someone that has this awesome new tech product and it's going to blow up the industry? Like what would you tell them to do first? What's your advice?
Yeah, so I would probably say that there's two big things to consider. One is expect anything, but don't expect the people to buy your product. You think you have these great relationships and you know all these folks and you're connected. The better you know somebody, the harder it is to sell them. So dismiss that.
I completely agree with that. I completely 100% agree with that. I tell people like I'm a relationship builder. I'm not like a quick sell, but I also know our industry, and people need to build a trust not only with you, they have a trust with you, but they also want to trust your product and your company. So, and sometimes that takes time.
I agree. Yeah, it takes time and money. So give yourself time, right? Don't give yourself I'm going to Hollywood and I'm going to be a star in 3 months, right? You need a long plan. Make sure that you have enough money to do what you want to the best of your ability. The longer you can go without taking an investment, the better you are. Right? Investments are an obligation, not an asset. So oftentimes, and we see it today, some of these companies, they're taking money and they literally take on the job of raising capital, like raising funds ongoing. And I think it dilutes not only their value, but also the product, because you get so focused on the investment and the money. Build the best product you can and build it for the right reasons. If you're just building it for revenue, I don't think that you have sustainability or the ability to really succeed. Know your customer base, and there's a dynamic that gets misplaced, I think, and that's client versus consumer. A lot of suppliers, they focus on the client and what they can get from the client or what they can give to the client. And I think that it's more important to understand the impact of your product to the consumer, because that translates through to the client experience.
Right. And you, how long did it, well, you probably knew right away, like going into multifamily and sales and trying to get a startup going, that our industry is different than a lot of industries. It is very relationship driven. So I think a lot of companies don't even realize the extent of that when they first come into our space, and then they struggle. So giving yourself the time. I mean, I think a lot of companies need to give yourself time to like really ramp up and, get to know the industry and the people of this industry is very important.
Agree. And I think subtle is better than overstated. If we DepositCloud launched in 2017. We really don't market. We don't do big ads. We don't try to overly publicize. I think that when you have a really good idea and you're in a niche to provide a service, that quiet and subtle is better than sharing client names. And we're very adverse to talking about specific client names, because you just attract unwanted attention in that aspect. I think if your clients want to do business with you and they want to share that, that's up to them. But there's a credibility in not providing client information on a broad scale. So it's build a really good, solid product. Make sure that you are confident in the quality of your service and grow organically.
Right. What would you say mistakes what would make multifamily confusing to a startup? Like what do you think like their biggest hurdles are when they're first starting? Like or if you've seen one not be successful, what do you think it was that really like didn't work for them? If they had just done it this way or thought about it differently, they could have taken off. Like what could you speak to on that?
Yeah, that's a tough one because just the dynamics in general for multifamily are so diverse. You have the nuances of the operation side, right? If you're on the sales component of a supplier or you're building a product and you don't have firsthand knowledge or the Jeff Bezos philosophy, right, of having the really smart people in the room with you, if you don't have those folks being able to give you advice and buy-in and information and discussion with, you can miss really quickly on your value, right? Is your product really valuable to the industry as a whole or a specific segment of it? If you're so narrow focused, you miss the value or the usage. You can have a really great concept that C-level operator is going to love and want to use, but if the product itself doesn't function and isn't easy for the site level teams, right? Because I think the number one impact of all products in the space is it hits the site level. So your community level teams are the ones that make or break you. If you don't deliver a product that they can get behind, support, love, appreciate, you're going to lose eventually, right? No matter what or how good of a relationship you have with C-suite, right? You don't deliver the product that the site level teams can embrace. And then the side aspect of that is really relevant to the question is the resident dynamics, right? If the resident isn't happy, they're not happy with the property. It's not typically they're not happy with the supplier. They don't social media post on the supplier negatives. It's usually the property did it, right? I'm proud to say that DepositCloud has a 4.9 Google rating from resident facing experience, right? I think that translates. If your residents are happy, then the property's happy, and if the property's happy, it just goes uphill, right? So I think that's a big miss. If you really don't know the difference between the client and the consumer, you can set yourself up for failure.
Right. And not forgetting that on-site aspect. I think a lot of people, it's great to have your C-suite contacts and be able to get those meetings and even get the business. But if you don't have something that is good for the site level or is easy for them to engage with, you can very easily get lost in the shuffle. And I know that from, with the platform that we have, like that is something that we really focus on, is making our platform extremely user-friendly and easy. Because if we don't, the managers are not going to want to log in and use it, and then therefore it doesn't work. So totally agree with you on that. We have a really good question. What would you recommend to a service startup on how to handle the 30-day net industry standard?
This is sensitive for me, having been on the operations side. First and foremost, there are probably a handful of communities out there that are not behind on invoices. The simple fact is that your invoice is not a priority to the community operations, in the essence that they're focused on all of their obligations to their management team and their residents. So the invoice tends to get put off to the side and can run out. I'm absolutely against invoicing. Our company platform doesn't invoice. We built out a fee structure where we do not charge our owners or operators any costs or fees. And in the one particular model that has a cost associated that the resident doesn't bear, it's a deducted scenario from revenue that's coming in. So I tried. That's the way that I avoided that topic. 30-day net is more of a 90-day net, I think, really,
Right.
when you come to understanding that when you send an invoice, it goes to the property has to actually submit that invoice through their system. Then it has to go to accounting, and then accounting has to process it, and then they have to mail a check or something, right? So if you're building a model that is an invoice-based or subscription-based cost that you have to bill out, fully anticipate and expect anywhere from 60 to 90 days, and don't penalize your client if they're late, right?
I think, yeah, having the correct expectation, because that is really the norm. So you do have to be prepared for that 100%. And that's where people get frustrated, because they come in without that expectation and then they get upset. And exactly, don't penalize your client. Don't call your site staff and yell at them because of past due invoices either, because it's that manager, it's probably just nothing to do with it. She's probably already did her thing, sent it on, and it's in line. So yelling at her does nothing.
Yeah.
So you can very easily damage a relationship if you don't have the right expectation.
Exactly.
Right.
It's very hard for community teams. We talked a little bit. When I started on the operations side, I actually started at the property level. My very first building was an 82 unit garden style complex in Burbank, California. Still love it. Whenever I'm down there, drive by, we visit and everything. And I have such respect for every single person boots on the ground on a property, not to diminish regionals and vice presidents and corporate staff, but the folks that are every day on the community, working directly with the residents, especially through COVID. Massive respect. So they typically don't get all the accolades that they should probably and will and deserve, but yeah, treat them great, right? Treat them with respect, treat them with appreciation, and help. Hey, is there anything I can do to help with this invoicing process? Is there anything that would make it easier for you, right? Formatting the way that we send it. Some, ACH has become a more standard format for billing and invoicing. Providing ACH information as a supplier, so that if your client's wiring or sending money, transferring money via ACH rather than paper checks, is a convenience, right? It's going to be faster for you, but it's also more convenient for them, less likely to get lost in the mail. So just think through that invoice process and the way to best work that relationship out.
Yeah, and communication too. I mean, you have a point of contact. You have somebody that you've been working with, and just, there's nothing wrong with just picking up the phone and having a conversation about it. I've never had an issue with anybody if I've just called and said, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up and see what's going on, and can you give me a little insight or tell me what to expect." And then I'll just, I'll take that back to the team. It's all good, but communication, very key, and something that a lot of people just forget to do. They just, want to go ahead and start that process of, where's my money? And you can, definitely rub people the wrong way with that.
Yeah.
What would you, what should startups consider when entering multifamily? What would be your
client feedback, right? And by client, I mean the operator, and consumer or customer feedback, your actual, the end user. Sometimes that's the same, right? If you're a software platform for the community use and it's not resident facing, then you want to look at the dynamics of that relationship. How does the site level teams use your product versus corporate staff access and usability? I think feedback's really important. Having a user group that can help to provide feedback, enhancements, development. Our development pipeline is substantial. I mean, we're 12 to 24 months out in general on total product development. So having your users say, "Hey, it'd be great if it did this, or if you could include this," is super beneficial. There's a lot of ego involved in companies and owning companies and developing. Being open to feedback, collaboration. I'm self-aware enough to know that I have some control type tendencies, and I'm biased in my own opinion, but I respect other people's perspective. And
Right.
so being able to take that and adjust what you think is the right answer to encompass what everybody else agrees they like is super beneficial. So keep an open mind. Don't worry about someone calling your baby ugly, because you may really like it, but
But
if
it may be
they
ugly.
don't, they're not going to use it, right? I mean, I don't want to say, hey, maybe your baby is ugly, but it's true. You want to make sure that you can take that and mold to what the end user really wants to see and feel and have. And again, I'm not saying that you just change your whole product because someone said, "Oh, I don't like this," but take that feedback into consideration in your development schedule.
I love that you said that. We recently started an advisory board of clients with our company, and it's been really helpful. And it does help us prioritize a lot of our back end, tech things that, and how we want to prioritize. Or, sometimes we just get really great insight, things that we didn't think about, or something, they'll ask us if we can create something that no one thought about. Like, I mean, it is very valuable to have a team of clients on your side that you can really trust and give you that input. We have another question. Is social media important?
Oh, that's a double-edged sword. So I think that you have to quantify who is it important to who, right? As the social media is most important for an operator and a community, because that's really what impacts traffic. There's so many cool programs out there and service providers that help with your ratings and help with social media. So the consumer facing, most of our products, like as suppliers, are really embedded in the operation level, right? If XYZ company uses you, then you really see that growth based off of that adoption. I think social media on a supplier level is really difficult to utilize fully. I think that there's brand awareness and marketing through LinkedIn and other platforms, but I think that overly broadcasting on standard social media of just your company, not necessarily a positive for you. You tend to attract more competitor, and like looking at what you're doing and what you're talking about than consumer or client base. I think that it depends on who you're marketing to as well. If you're marketing to an owner, operator, or whatnot.
Cool. We have another question. Yay! Thank you, Diamela. How do you put together an advisory team made up of clients for your company? How do you ask, and do you compensate them? And I will say, because we just did this, we reached out to some of our most active clients that we knew that we've been working with, or just that had a lot of industry experience, and just asked. And I mean, I didn't get turned down by anyone that I asked. They were happy to do it. But that also goes back to, like, I like to creating partnerships with our clients, as opposed to just getting quick sales. So I haven't, we don't compensate, but I didn't have any problems. We just reached out, and it worked out really great for us. What would you say, Michael?
Yeah, I would say so. My first and foremost response to that is compensation negates credibility. If you're paying for play, right? If you have to pay your client base to participate, there's something wrong in that model. I think it becomes disingenuous. Clients that are really actively, to Deb, to your point, clients that are actively engaged in your product, they want you to have the best product you can have, right? So those are the folks that are going to, we have more clients that ask to help, right? Than we have room to, we couldn't really have every single client on our advisory board, right? So the conversation is really pretty simple. It's, hey, we have this advisory board. Is that something that you'd be interested in? Feedback on, the product and things that you would like to see. I've never gotten a no on that conversation. So I don't think it's difficult to ask the question. I think that compensation just doesn't feel really good to me ethically. Now, that said, do you appreciate your advisory board? Do you get them together at some point in time? Do you go have a nice dinner if you're at an event? Of course, right? I mean, they're your client too. So you got to show them love and you got to spend the time with them. But I think that advisory boards are great programs and great concepts for especially emerging technology. And then long term, they're the ones that you sell to, right? So their perspective is key.
Right. What do you think? Like your tips for being a part of a startup in multifamily during a pandemic?
It's funny that you asked. You said so much. Yeah. Be flexible. Be open, and don't feel like you have to solve every question day one. We felt that, we experienced that, as Deb knows, we've talked about before on a couple of things that we did with to support rent deferments and rental assistance programs. Sometimes you just don't have the answer and you got to find it on the fly. But make sure that you're upfront and honest with your client. If you don't have the ability to do something, don't promise it. It's way better to under promise and over deliver than it is to over promise and fail.
Right. I keep saying we like the word pivot. I'm like, and sometimes you pivot every day. Sometimes you pivot twice a day. Like everything is completely unpredictable. You just have to be able to roll with it. Have a positive attitude, and just, go for it, because everyone's in the same predicament too right now. So I think if you're flexible and you can pivot, you're going to get through it and you can be successful. Definitely. So do you have any extra tips, tricks, or anything else that you would like to add today, Michael?
No, I think just to echo exactly what you said, I think that you need to be able and willing to pivot. You need to be open to opportunities that present themselves, even if maybe they don't feel like they fit directly into your product scope. You'd be shocked at the way that things can connect in this space. Multifamily is a white elephant, and the most amazing white elephant out there, because it's unique and it has a memory that lasts forever. So make sure that you maintain your ethics in everything that you do, and be honorable in the way that you handle and deal with clients, and you will have strength and longevity in this space.
Right. I completely agree with that. Well, if people want to reach out to you, do you want to tell us how they can contact you?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can private message me on LinkedIn or connect. Michael Bowman, and my email is michael@depositcloud.com. You can reach out to me at any point in time, and I would be happy to chat. Or if you're interested in any of our products or services, of course, we would be happy to help you.
Absolutely. I love what you guys are doing. I love how you guys have made that pivot into rent deferment, and what you guys are doing is great. So I commend you on that. It's really awesome, and everyone should reach out to you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Very cool. Well, let's see. We're gonna wrap up here. I don't know if Kimberly wants to pop back on with me for just a few minutes. I don't think we have any more questions in the chat.
No. Do we have we have a thank you very much for joining
Aw.
us. D'Amelia, yes, thank you. Michael is great. He's awesome. So, wow, great
All
session,
right.
ladies. Yes, it was. There was a lot of great, you guys shared a lot of great information. It is definitely a topic that we could go on and on, but we were trying to be,
We're trying to try to keep it short. We're not
keep it
trying
short.
to,
Is hard
we're not trying to
sometimes.
take everyone's entire lunch hour, just half.
Just half, just a little smidge of it.
Just a
And
smidge.
yeah, every Tuesday. And if you want to be on and you have information, knowledge to share, please, here's our information to email one of us. If you want to view more of these, just put hashtag industry live into LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. It'll come up. So you can see past interviews, so you know what to expect. But yes.
And we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yes.
And then our guest next Tuesday, do you want to tell everyone who that is?
Yes, is Elaine DeLude. She's on the owner-operator side, so she's going to share what it's like. She was actually with it was a startup management company. They were owners that started their own management company, as well as she's worked with lots of startup companies in multifamily. So it will be a fun conversation. She's just a fun human being. Really, really nice woman that I got to meet about 15 years ago. So
wonderful. I'm excited.
Yes,
should be good, and I can't wait to hear the other perspective.
Yes,
being the startup on the owner management side, this will be really good. So.
Yeah, the skepticisms that may occur. So
absolutely,
awesome. The things people need to think about. So, well, we thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mihael Bowman, with DepositCloud, for joining us and sharing your tips. There was definitely some good information there. And thank you, everyone. Thanks, Deb, for holding it down while my internet was being weird.
That's what we do.
So until next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
See ya. Bye, guys.